Greetings, Internet! Welcome to the 186th episode of the Comic Watchers Show. I'm your host, Matt. With me, as ever, is the one and only Chad Burdett. He's really the one that holds this thing all together. Chad, greetings. You and
Hello.
Master. We're back for a bonus episode this week. That's right. 2 this week. We are hanging out with RAFER Roberts and Mike Norton talking about the original graphic novel from Dark Horse, The Rock Gods of Tennessee.
We're going to do this
Gentlemen.
again. I'm backwards. Everything's backwards. I can't do it. Trying to high five through the thing. How you doing?
Through the screen. Bam.
Hey guys, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, we have been trying to get this thing going for a cool minute.
Well, I first met Mike and RAFER through the Comic Geek Speak podcast, and I know them. I know them from the Super shows, and
I was just talking about them the other day about how much I missed them. I haven't seen nor heard anything in a while. I should keep up better with my friend.
Well, I know. Mike, before you drew Green Arrow, you drew me a Green Arrow and a Tim Drake Robin sketch at episode 200.
All right. I know we're on your podcast, but I mean, they really did I feel like they did kind of break me as far as like getting my name out there and stuff like that. So, I mean, I owe them a lot. I know so many people because of that. It's pretty, they were kind of a milestone moment for comic podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I don't think I was ever on the show, but I liked it. I liked listening to it.
With a little luck, we'll get there.
It's the only way I understood Final Crisis.
You're already on your way.
Yeah.
I mean, you have one of the coolest intros I've seen.
Well, thank you. Our if I say effects, we'll just say effects guy, because why the hell not? Brian Derbsovich, as I call him. He does all of our digital stuff, our logos for the sites, the little CW you see up in the corner, all that. That's all his design.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's pretty cool. And then the music is actually from one of the show's founding members, and he writes for the site now. His name's John Jack. He's an aspiring artist himself right now, and he used to play in a band, and that was just a little piece of music that he had on file from a former band, and he's like, hell, we'll just use this. I gotta say, the drum fill just gives it that pop. Every time I hear that, I'm just like, and I love it. I love it. And it's kind of fortuitous that we're talking about drum fills and stuff, because there's a lot of rock and or roll in the Rock Gods of Tennessee. So take it away, gentlemen. Tell us about this awesome project. You were mentioning your graphics guy. I'm the opposite. I am an artist with it being an aspiring musician. I've always enjoyed that sort of thing. It's never been anything more than a kind of when I was in high school, I was really into it. I decided this comic stuff isn't gonna happen. I'm gonna do something more realistic, like be a musician. And for about a year or two, me and some other dummies tried to make a band, and we actually played some places to disastrous effect. And this is sort of, I decided in my ripe old age that I wanted to do a loving memoir, and then while I was into it, decided this is really hard. I would like to get my friend RAFER in on this, because he will make this much more fun to draw. And he did. Guess what? Because he's very good at what he does. And,
I'm okay.
We made this.
You make me look good.
We made this into more of a an 80s kids horror movie rather than a loving memoir of my childhood.
I mean,
So I think in a way,
though,
it still
go
is
ahead, Ray.
though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it still is the loving memoir, but filtered through the '80s horror film, so it doesn't hurt as much. So it doesn't feel like it's. I mean, it really is like Stand by Me meets From Dusk Till Dawn is how I've been talking about it. Well, it's really is that real childhood drama where all the kids feel real because they're basically based on me and Mike and our childhood friends.
Yeah, they are based on real people.
I was going to say, are the characters based on you guys? Like, Rafer, you're the lead singer. Mike, you're the bass player. Is Crank the other guitarist?
That's awesome. Everybody thinks I'm Lenny. I'm not Lenny, but it is. I mean, the thing about the book is the characters in the book when it started were based on very specific people. They were the members of my band. Once Rafer got involved, he started bringing in his childhood, and they started mixing and becoming other things. And a lot of the characters are me. Like it's like I've been split into pieces. In my band, I was the guitar player. I was the Marty character, but I was never as cool as Marty. I was never as hated as Marty. I was never.
Oh, you will be someday.
I was never as.
Well, he's trying with the I Hate Mike website.
Yeah. I was never as good at playing as Marty. Marty's kind of like a. He's not as good as his girlfriend, but he's got a talent, and Lenny is based on an actual person who had a very nice home life and loving family, and he was very good at his instrument. He still is, I think, to this day. I've only talked to him a few times recently, and it's unfortunately to hear about the passing of other people from back home and things like that. So. They're all it's a lot like the intro quote that Rafer has at the beginning where everything is true but nothing happened, nothing really happened, or it's the opposite of that, because these are real people but they're not at all. They're such an amalgam right now that it's cool because I can look at these guys and Doug's personality is Rafer, but he looks like my old friend who I won't mention because he'll come looking for money that I don't have.
Well, let's see how the book does first. It's going to be like the producers. He could be looking for shares of nothing.
Yeah.
So it's coming out June 6th. It's Dark Horse and Penguin Random House. What brought those forces together? What with you guys as a creative thing? Like, why Dark Horse? Why Penguin Random House?
Well, the Penguin Random House goes hand in hand with going through Dark Horse nowadays.
Right.
That's their whole publishing and distribution model, and I believe starting in June, it's pretty much through Penguin Random House. So I'm gonna admit it's really nice. I always liked being published by Dark Horse. I grew up reading Dark Horse books, so for me, there's that. Holy crap! I'm being published by the same guy who did Sin City and Hellboy and Next Men, and I'm going to name them all.
Yeah, do it.
But then at the same time, I also work in publishing on my day job, so getting distributed through like Penguin Random House on the same time is like, yeah, it feels like Rockstar, but it's still just comics in a way. But I like it. There is a sense of pride to it, but also it's cool. I like the company.
Was it you that pitched to them, Rafer? I don't remember sending it to them. Did you? I think you were the one sending it out. Yeah.
I've had a pretty good relationship with Dark Horse for a long time, but it was RAFER that got the yes from them. So.
Yeah,
because Mike, you did the answer through them, right?
I've done the answer.
Yeah.
Battle Pug was first published through them. I've done Hellboy. I've done a bunch of comics through Dark Horse. So I mean, I'm doing more stuff. I have a Hellboy coming out in the same month as it's in July, but you get the idea. So I Dark Horse and I go way back, and I love those guys.
Yeah, and I had done Modern Fantasy with them, and Brett Israel, who was the assistant editor on that book, after Mike and I had done Grumble and had gone to Albatross with that, he had made the comment like, "Oh man, I wish you had sent that to Dark Horse. I would have loved to work on that." So when we started working on Rock Gods, it was more of, I'm going to call Brett's bluff on this one. It's the exact. It's 3/4 of the exact same creative team. Like, let's see what he says.
The irony now is that Eric is back with Dark Horse, so Grumble is technically a Dark Horse book now. So and editors don't get enough shout outs on stuff. Brett's been really great to work with. He's been super understanding on a lot of stuff. Yeah, especially these days. I find the less, because I'm, RAFER will tell you, I'm very bad at getting back about things that I'm working on now. If I'm working work for hire, then I'm like Johnny on the spot. But for some reason, if it's something that I have something to do with creatively, I'm just like, I just want to draw. And so the editors really go above and beyond. They do their editing, that's for sure.
I mean, I like that you mentioned that editors are often their praises go unsung, because without a good editor and assistant editor, whatever else label you want to slap in there, most of the comics we like don't get done. Because creative types, nothing personal, have a hard, we tend to get lost in the weeds, which does not lend itself to deadlines. So, it's always good that there's somebody or not all of creative types' ideas are good.
That's also
somebody needs to be there to be the bad guy and say, maybe we shouldn't have turned the spider clone into a big demon villain guy.
To bring it back to the book and music, a good editor is like a good producer, and they will take a bad idea and make it good, or they will take a good idea and show the band something they weren't even thinking about and make it into something transcendent. Or, at the very least, they'll just put what the band had out there and see if everybody likes it. But, I mean, if you have a bad editor, people are going to be like, how did this get published?
Right.
There's also leaving us to do the creative side. And let him handle talking with all like the marketing department and the distribution. It's just like, let us handle one side and real good distribution of labor on that aspect too.
Even all of our creator-owned stuff, RAFER and I have had editors that we've hired ourselves. So I mean, they're an important part of the creative process.
Well, and the fact that you just said what you just said, Mike, I think is key, in that you deliberately went out of your way to hire this specific person, because that speaks to a particular level of trust between you guys and that editor that probably isn't that as common as maybe we would like to hope that it is.
I mean, I think you're seeing it a lot more now. And you're seeing it a lot more with I hate saying that because it makes it sound like I'm being uppity or something, but it with serious creators who want their books to not suck, they're hiring editors, you know, and it's because they know what they can and can't do. You know, we're not that first generation of Image that thinks that we can run the world because everybody's going to buy our artwork anyway. You know, we feel like maybe people might want to read these books. So
not just look at the pictures.
Yeah, I got to make them got to be good.
Yeah, at the very least, it's another a final set of eyes. Like, please don't let us suck in public.
Yeah, don't let us suck in public.
Or at least if it does, you now own a piece of that suck.
Yeah.
Your name's on there.
You're the final check on this, buddy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So tell us a little bit about the rock gods themselves of Jackson, Tennessee. Like, who are these guys? What's going on?
Let's talk about the book. Yeah. So the rock gods are a group of 4 misfit teenagers in high school who form a rock band in order to become popular and to open for the gig of a lifetime for the returning rock god coming back to town. But instead of performing in front of the whole town and becoming rock gods themselves, they have to fight a horde of mutated pigs that have escaped from the local perfume factory and is now destroying the entire town. So
don't give away the
coming of age comedy, and
I loved it as I was reading it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things at play here. Chad, jump in though. I've been holding your side of the conversation.
Oh no, that's fine. I know you guys were talking about the editor, but I was. I know Crank, Mike. You guys, the Crank cast.
Oh yeah.
Is Alan part of that? Is he in Chicago too? And part of, I know Chicago is like a big, comic book creator area.
We're not as tightly knit as we used to be. Well, I mean, we used to be up in everybody's business all the time, but everybody's moved in different directions. Crank is now in Cincinnati. He's back in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Alan's always been nomadic in somewhere in California. I think he's pretty much based in LA now, though. But those two, if I'm doing something of my own, that we're kind of like a package deal almost. I mean, we've gotten other colorists and stuff. Just because, I mean, some people fit better, but I mean, I just love those guys, and I don't have to really say anything to them. They just do. They know what they do, and I let them do what they want to do. So, yeah.
Especially Crank and Alan. So much of the storytelling rests with the lettering and the color in this book, with just being able to express what the music sounds like and the change in tone between the high school scenes and the more fantastical band music scenes, the concert scenes, and also, the horror. The horror.
The horror.
That was the original. I think that was Brando's first take in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, the horror.
The horror. The horror.
I mean, he also kind of gives life to, Doug's particular set of neuroses and, his ADHD sort of.
What brings that up all of a sudden?
So is it any different writing this? Like, I know RAFER did Plastic Farm, and Mike has done Battle Pug and some superhero stuff. Is it kind of a different approach to writing a story like this?
Yeah. Well, especially when stories like this, where Mike comes to me with the initial idea, and then I purposely try not to wreck it. My goal in there is to be respectful to the source idea first and foremost. So it does give me restraints, but I love restraints in storytelling. Limitations are freeing in a way, because then I don't have to think about certain things. I can focus on other parts, which is how I try to write for an artist, where I make it so they don't have to think about how many panels is this going to be, what's going on in here. All they have to worry about is drawing the characters and expressing the emotion and telling the story the best way they can have to. So it's there really is, like, working with it really does what you said with working with Crank and Alan, that you don't have to explain a lot, that it just feels natural. I think maybe 3 or 4 times in 180 pages we had a conversation about what the hell something meant, or why are we doing this. But
and it was
pretty good in 180 pages.
It was right when the book was done too. We were like correcting stuff. I'm like, wait, why did we do this? What were you trying to do here?
Yeah, like 1 or 2 word
read
balloons.
this script.
Now, I mean, kind of going back to you guys. Did you guys first met through the Comic Geek Speak, right?
No, actually,
No.
You knew each other before?
No,
I knew of Mike.
I knew of. Okay.
Everybody knows of Mike. The legend precedes him.
Yes, I'm well known for my steak eating abilities. I think it was
It's Valiant.
Archer. Yeah, it was Archer and
Okay.
Armstrong where we actually met. I mean, I was actually jealous when I saw it was coming back, and I'm a big fan of David LaFuente, and he was the artist on that book, and I was like, man, I'd really like to draw that book. And Rafer was writing it, and I was like, A, that's an interesting name, and B, he must be good because he's got him starting out on this new flagship book.
Yeah,
So-
I still don't know how the hell that happened.
But
Well,
Yeah,
it was-
gas leak
it
in
was-
the Valiant offices that day.
It was during the time you were writing Archer and Armstrong that both of you have bottles of beer that was done by Arcade Brewing back in the day when they were
oh right, yeah,
open.
Yeah.
So I remember having I have a couple bottles of Battle Pug Brown, and I was never able to get a hold of the Armstrong and Archer one.
I
No?
did. I was able to get a bottle of it, but I didn't keep it.
Do you want one
And
that
I
you can
was
drink
like,
from, or do you want an empty one? I got an extra.
I don't know if we'd want to drink from them now.
No,
They
to
might
be
be a
honest,
little
I
too-
didn't like it when it was fresh.
I still
Yeah.
have a bottle of Battle Pug. I drank all the rest of them, and they made a special edition that was a barrel aged version, and that was not going to last very long around here. I mean, I think I gobbled that up like a little gremlin.
So getting back to the book, how long did it take to for once Rafer gave you the script to do the draw the panels and stuff like that?
I mean, it took longer than it should have. Honestly, I got a little sidetracked with a bunch of other things that were paying the bills and stuff. It's a dangerous business to go into a book on your own, even if it is being done by a publisher, right? So I was always doing a little thing for DC or a little thing here and there, and so they were very patient with me. I did the majority of the book in about 3 months, honestly. It was like there at the end where I looked up and saw the schedule and said, oh, this is due. So I needed to, I had to get a lot done in a couple of months. And luckily it doesn't look terrible. So I'm happy about that.
I would say none of your stuff ever looks terrible, Mike.
You're very nice. You're very nice.
How about writing it, Rafer?
Yeah, writing it, and in Mike's defense on the schedule, also trying to create a graphic novel in the middle of because we were doing this early on in the pandemic, also. So deep diving into our own childhood and examining our own personal foibles and undiagnosed ADHD. And while I'm writing the script and having personal epiphanies, it takes longer because of all the crying jags that you have to you break out into, and the extra therapy appointments that you go to. But in the end, it makes for a better product. I like working on the superhero comics and the monthly comics, and it's a different beast. But there's something it's a constantly moving train, and at the end of the deadline, whatever you got is what's going to the press. With the graphic novel, I kind of slow rolled the whole thing on my own. I wasn't pushing. I wanted it to take as long as it took. Sorry, Brett. I know you probably could sense that. But at no point did I want to rush this thing. I also didn't want to Chinese democracy this thing, but good work is not rushed. We rushed there at the end anyway. It's still comics, and that's what we do. But the majority of it was we took as long as it took, and it's great. And being able to write the entire thing all at once, and being able to draw the whole thing at once, and being able to look at the whole thing at once before it goes out to the world, and say we should fix that thing in chapter 1 because at the end that doesn't make any damn sense. Just we can cut that stuff out. This makes for a tighter book, and one that I think has more realistic characters despite the even more fantastical elements.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Did any of that make sense?
Sure. Matt, do you have any questions? Are you back?
Well, I think I'm back. My God.
Everybody, stop talking about Matt.
I know. Yep.
Right in the middle of everything. I mean, it black screen, nothing. A full-on cold.
I held it together.
Yeah.
Thanks, because I'm looking a little shaky right now. So, guys, it sounds like the whole band, so to speak, is on the same page as far as this project is concerned, and just the creative ebb and flow of you guys' relationship. How secondhand is it now? Like, RAFER, can you be like, here's this page where I have a rough idea of what's going to happen. Mike, you got this, and then so on and so forth.
I mean, I think you just pegged it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. I mean, that's
I give
why
more than a rough idea, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
You write a script.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. It's not like a Keith Giffen script where he writes a paragraph and he says, "Hey,
knucklehead,
make 22 pages out of this."
Yeah. I've had writers call me and then describe pages, and then I'm like writing notes.
Oh no. I'll be honest, and I'm by no means a professional writer of anything, but I don't have time to micromanage somebody else. Like, whether it's at work or anything. I can only imagine how frustrating that would be for you, Mike. As it's supposed creative partner.
There are artists that thrive on that. There are artists that want that. I mean, the creators I continue to work with are the ones that I just they make the kind of thing that excites and makes me want to draw it in the first place. Mm-hmm. Two, they know how to describe something so that I don't ever have a question really, unless it's like something that I'm just not understanding. It's like I didn't.
It's usually
read
plot
it right.
related. I describe literally everything except why they're doing it. It'd be like, and there's like some character motivation behind this one.
Right.
But I mean,
Rafer,
yeah, they're
have
gonna
you
have
ever
a
looked at-
bit.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Oh,
Rafer, have you ever looked at Mike's art and the body language or the subtleties that he puts into the characters and felt like he's revealed something about somebody that maybe you
all
hadn't
the
considered
freaking
before?
time. All the time.
Oh,
It's
wow.
yeah, no.
Don't undersell yourself.
Yeah, no, he's
I mean, that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
otherwise
the
it
best
would
thing
look
I
like
can-
a Chris Claremont or something, just nothing but word balloons or stuff like that. So.
Yeah, the best thing I do, it's like as soon as I get the art back, I go back to the lettering or the dialogue script and take out half the words because I don't need them anymore.
Right.
'Cause-
That's
and
our
that's the
job.
best thing
If
ever.
we're doing our job right.
Yeah,
How fortuitous
'cause
for you that we no longer live in the area where characters have to like constantly drop giant exposition bombs all over the page.
I'm throwing this
You can
baseball
trust
at your
our
head.
artists to convey these,
And
the reader to follow. It's crazy.
There's something comfortable about that, though. There's something that reminds me of being 10 years old and sitting in my bed
There
reading
is.
stuff.
I totally get
Yeah.
behind that.
Yeah, and I think there's a place for that, but yes, you are correct. It is much smoother. It is more natural. It feels better when it is something that where you can tell that it's simpatico and it's like
Yeah.
he told him to draw this, so now he doesn't have to write this kind of thing. It's that, and yeah, that's what collaboration is. And from the when you asked about like the working from an idea, I wouldn't have asked Rafer to even work on this had I not gone into this going, this is going to be a collaborative thing. So there's going to be like things that I aren't going to make it into this, and I have to be okay with that because it's going to be better overall. And that's the way you have to approach comics. If you go in saying I have this idea and I want you all to execute it for me, that's not collaborative. That's you are the boss of somebody, and that's going to get old real quick unless you're paying a lot of money for people, and that's not what we're doing. We're making something together.
Yeah.
So
essence of collaboration, as it were. Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
Yeah. So in a comic book about or a comic story about music, what music inspires you to write or draw?
That's the good question. It's the interesting. It's also the most difficult question. Rafer's way better at answering this than I am.
Oh, God. Yeah, I tend to make project-specific playlists, if only that I can. Because every project I work on seems to be so different from everything else that jumping from one to the other, it becomes a bit of a whiplash. But if I can listen to the same playlist before jumping into the same project, it puts me in that mood. It's this weird self-hypnotic thing. I don't know. It's probably a lot of
You want specific.
but it works for me.
Name.
But I like it. All right.
But got a pretty specific shout out in the story.
All right. So there's a lot of Judas Priest going on with rock gods. There's some Metallica. Okay. It's the 80s. So there's a lot of, let's go with Motley Crue. Who were you listening to, Mike? You were listening to Winger?
I was listening to a lot of Winger.
Name drop Winger.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
destroyed their career.
Well, I saw them in my 30s, so they didn't destroy them for me. A lot of my musical tastes are kind of frozen in amber, and they're usually around that point in time. And I have a lot of love for the 80s metal that was not considered metal by actual metal people. And so you have those hard rock glam bands like Winger and Trickster and Dangerous Toys and all that kind of stuff. But I also like all the other stuff like Sabbath and like Iron Maiden and the other stuff. But outside of that, RAFER was sending me videos for Grand Funk Railroad and
Really?
stuff like that. Stuff that came way before and things like that. And I was big into new wave stuff too. So I don't have I'm a huge Oingo Boingo fan. I don't discriminate when it comes to music, but this book is definitely influenced by the music that I was listening to at the time, and most of that was guitar driven hard rock metal. I was looking through my yearbook when we were doing this. I think I sent you this picture, Ray, I just drew this giant Van Halen symbol in the middle of my yearbook. It's just tearing up the thing, and it's exactly what you would expect on a Trapper Keeper of a 16-year-old kid.
Well, so the fact in Rock Gods, the kids are basically just doing Led Zeppelin covers throughout, which is basically a complete ripoff of my high school band, where all we did was Led Zeppelin covers.
We did that too. We did that too.
They're recognizable. They're fairly simple songs.
Yeah, we played what we could play.
Yeah, Black Dog is an insanely
easy
song.
with your high school rock bands?
What's that?
How serious were you guys with your respective high school rock bands?
About as serious as the Rock Gods are with theirs.
I was foolishly serious about it for about 6 months.
Okay.
And so were the other guys in it. And then we realized how we saw other bands, and then realized that we weren't a band. That's what did it for. I mean, we recorded stuff. I had a guitar teacher who had his own little studio in his house, and he recorded an EP for us, and we thought it was really cool at the time. And now it's more of like a haunted object in my house that kind of reminds me of how good I wasn't, and just kind of a reminder. It's like, hey, don't do this again. So. But it was very fun, and I obviously have fond memories of it. So,
yeah.
We got kicked out of our one and only gig.
Oh, yeah.
You got kicked out?
Yeah, we played one of the band members' graduation parties at some country club. We got halfway through. We got halfway through Metallica's "Am I Evil?" and somebody's mom like, "That's it, you're done."
Oh well, yeah.
Out of here.
I mean, props to you for shooting.
I mean, we deserve to be kicked out. It wasn't. Yeah, it's good. But, those wealthy country club moms did not want to.
My mother was a witch. I mean, you kind of.
Very true.
Very true.
I know. We played a metal showcase. We played a metal showcase in Jackson, and showed up around 7 because we didn't have a time slot, and I walked in, and there were dudes that were literally just like walking off the stage onto people's tables and just guitar soloing like that, and I was like, and I turned to the guy who was running places like, I don't think we're this kind of band. And so all of a sudden our time slot was like 2 a.m. And there was one person in there, and they were drunk as hell, and they could not be more supportive. They were just like, I'm not going nowhere. Yeah.
Good on you for sticking it out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, my band never made it to a gig. So
yeah.
Our drummer, funny story, our drummer, like, he was literally learning to drum at the outset of the index.
Yeah,
as it were.
we had similar.
He really liked speed and couldn't keep time, and but he was
Like
very
the drug,
enthusiastic.
or
yeah. And
okay, all right.
And it made for a gnarly combination, but he was just so passionate about it. The problem was, like, despite all of that, he was also really lazy. So he would constantly bitch about playing the same songs over and over again, but then we'd suggest, well, let's learn a new song, and he wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, it didn't work out with that drummer. You know, these drummers, they just drummer divas.
Was that drummer an Anthrax fan?
No.
Let's
Chad,
see if
what
I can
about you?
profile.
Yeah.
I was never in it. Well, I was in the marching band. That was about it.
Props to the marching band. It's a different vibe, but it takes skill. More skill.
Well, it took me. It was a skill for me to hold the trombone. I really didn't play.
Yeah, no worries on that. So
I was forced into it.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm right there with you.
We all had that experience at something or other in high school. But between all of the various characters, we've got a lot of different social dynamics just among the band, and then of course there's the different cliques that dominate the school: the preps, the jocks, the hip hop kids, etc., the skate. But one of the things that stuck out to me is Marty, the one member of the band that probably has the most legitimate talent. He comes from the poor side of town, and this was definitely a time in American history when we're still not kind to people that are less fortunate, but we certainly look down our nose at people that were from, quote, the wrong side of the tracks, or in Marty's case, the wrong side of the highway. What I know, he was probably always destined to be an outsider in some way, shape, or form. But what brought us to that particular presentation for his origin?
I mean, you'd have to ask Rafer, because he kind of filled him out. Yeah, I mean, we all knew people like that, and you're right. In the 80s, it was much more acceptable to tell the poor kid how poor they are. You know, that doesn't go on so much now. But they're a little more vicious back then. I mean, there weren't school shootings, but
I went to a high school that was really weird. It was 50% like the richest kids in America and 50% not. I was of the half that was not. So I got to see how rich people kind of treat other people. It really kind of sat with me. But also from this book and from Marty's perspective, I didn't want to just have he was going to be the outsider and the outcast, but why? Like, what is there a reason for that? Well, that doesn't make it interesting if he's just some asshole kid. But it was part of why this book took so long to write, is delving into these kids' emotional state and what can cause this, and also how can you still like these kids? Marty is bad, but why? And why does the town hate him? And how can you still like him? And you come to find out, well, he's really been given a lot of bad breaks throughout his entire life, mostly because of the town. As you can he's a literal victim of the town. He is a literal victim of the town, and he is pissed off and fights back against the town, and he's powerless against it, and he becomes, the outcast. And that's how I see Marty. But I also understand, he's setting fires to things. He can't really set fires to parts of the town and expect, you're like, oh, that's okay, we understand.
He's a dick.
He's just a
He-
dick.
yeah, he's a dick,
He is
but
a
he's
dick,
17.
but you know why he's a dick. He just needs help. But nobody's helping him.
Right.
And I think there's a few points in the book where even Doug, as oblivious as the character Doug is, like, I wonder if we should have helped him more.
Yeah. Instead of idolizing him.
Yeah.
Doug
Instead of
Doug
idolizing
is
this guy,
interesting.
maybe we should have. Yeah. Maybe we should learn who our friends are and maybe help them.
Right. Doug is like this cheerful, oblivious, just innocent to everything around him, and he really reminds me of Milhouse in some ways from Simpsons. It's not just the glasses, but I definitely mean that as a compliment. But he's not your usual protagonist either. Like, there's nothing like gung ho about him or a misunderstood outsider or anything. He's just kind of like this dweeb. And
I was to say dweebish.
for that.
Yeah. I mean, again, Rafer would have to answer particulars, but I see Doug as like he's a good person by just kind of coincidence. If he had the opportunity to be an asshole, he would. He just hasn't been given that option. So, and he has a nice mom and a nice life. So he's got no real reason
have anything to rebel against.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He just wants
third, fourth generation Jackson. He can't get in trouble. He can't get arrested in this town.
He seems like the oddball of the four. Because they're of the misfits, he seems the oddball, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. He wants to be seen, and he's the motivation. He's literally the motivation for the band. He wants to be seen, and everybody else just. I mean, nobody really cares about the reason that Doug wants this band. They all, Marty wants a ticket out of town. Lenny was just going to be doing it anyway. And Johnny is just a golden retriever that you just direct in a path, and he's just going to go that way, Now,
I know you said that like the characters were like an amalgamation of your experiences. Was there a character that maybe you kind of got attached to, or started off kind of not liking, but as the story went on, you grew into liking their character?
Rafer and I actually had this discussion because I didn't like Doug. And it's funny because Doug is kind of Rafer, but he's kind of annoying in the book, but he's really the heart of everything. That's a kind of a testament to the story, right? Because you end up liking this guy.
There's certain things with the plot. It's like having giving Doug ADHD, unmedicated or undiagnosed, even in the book, like he doesn't understand himself. This is a character who's narrating a book, telling you what's going on with no understanding of what's going on. It was a fun challenge to write in that way, but also involved me digging deep and like what were my own motivations in being a friend. And I like what Mike said, like Doug just wants to be seen, but he makes no effort to see his friends. Like he doesn't see them for who they are.
Yeah.
But until it's too late, really. But even then, does he really?
He's kind of realizing everything he's realizing is literally after the fact. He's writing this story, so and the other kids,
as far as personalities you're really into, if you like them or not, I because they are based on real people, it did kind of let me sit down and go, oh yeah, I remember this about this guy, and it made me love them in a certain way again, the way I did when we were kids. And it, some of these people are no longer with us, and it made me kind of, feel bad about, maybe I should have kept in touch over the years and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the for a fun childhood adventure where they're fighting
Let's
mutant
bring it
pigs
down a
led
little
by
bit.
the most
Yes,
comedically
Yeah, there are
ridiculously
mutant
over the
pigs in
top
this.
villains. like the villains are the town preacher and like the town loudmouth businessman, like the hucksters, and it's comedically goofy, but at the same time, it's just so heartwarming, and a feeling of regret at the end of adulthood.
There's a little bit of that, but I mean, you live long
melancholy.
enough.
Yeah,
Sure.
A little bit of melancholy. You don't get to our age without a little bit of that.
So what like genre would you say the book falls into? I mean, because it's a mixture of like horror. I mean, a bit of slice of life, a bit of this and that.
I would say 80s teen adventure, if that's a genre.
Okay.
It's like your Explorers or your Monster Squad or your My Science Project. Do you remember that movie? Oh my God, nobody remembers it because I was the only one that saw it.
Yeah.
I got like Weird Science because that has a
Weird
a good,
Science, The Goonies.
I mean, hold back. I mean, we're not that good, Rafer. Come on. No, it is along those lines.
Yeah.
Speaking of Oingo Boingo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got time for just a couple more good questions. Chad, do you want to jump in?
Well, I was going to, ask them what they have, if they could talk about what they have in the works. I know, Rafer, you finished up Plastic Farm, right? You just recently, or a year or so ago, kickstarted the final. I mean, that was like your. I was gonna say that was your like. What's the word? Like your. Oh, I don't want to say opus because that's not saying that you don't have stuff coming, but that was like something that I remember first recognizing you from or for.
It's I guess what the kids call nowadays their OC. That was my epic graphic novel. Featuring characters that I created back when I was like middle school. I've had this huge thing, and finally I just decided to skip 1,000 pages and go right to the end, so I could just free myself of this. And
You had
exercise
more
these
that you were going to do? There was more that you didn't do?
Yeah, there was a lot. I skipped a lot.
Although my favorite thing that Rafer did is the Dark Side Goes to School mini comic.
Oh yeah, the Dark Side Thanos Carpool Buddies of Doom. That was a good one. But that's the one that's my obituary comic, and the one that
that's the one that
I get listed. Yep, and like the horrible picture of me sneezing. That was that. I finished Nightmare of the Rat. All of these things I had going on for like 10 plus years, I finished over the pandemic. It was just like, I'm just going to kill everything. Just end it all. But now I came out of it starting fresh. We did Rock Gods, so we're coming out with a bang. I've got one or two other unannounced things in the works. I'm working on a Rick and Morty thing, which is kind of fun. I'm getting
He's
the right
the new
to draw
voice.
something.
He's the new voice.
He's the new voice.
Hey, Yeah,
Somebody-
I'll do it right now. Jeez.
And
That's good,
Mike,
right?
do we any more of your stuff? I mean, I know that Battle
Marty.
Pug seems to have been, that story has been told, or the answer, or
I would like to do more answer. There is more answer planned,
Yeah.
but I haven't talked to Dennis in a while about it. I have almost half of a new Battle Pug series done, and I wanted to finish it before I put it out. Hear my cat?
Hey, Floyd.
So I've been working on that slowly. Emphasis on slowly, but yeah, I've got other things. There's an Archie story I have in the Camp Slasher special they have coming out in June as well, and a Hellboy book in July, and little things here and there. And I honestly got sidetracked a lot by working on Mystery Science Theater because I've been their concept designer for the last season, and they're starting back up again. So I need to draw invention exchanges and stuff like that. So that's been real fun, but it has kind of dug into the getting comics done time. So
right, but Crow and Tom Servo need you, so
I'm not complaining. Yeah, it's a dream.
Do that.
Yeah. It's a dream job. Yeah, it's a dream job. But I mean, anything that allows me to do things like Rock Gods and RAFER and I have like 4 other pitches we haven't gotten to land anywhere yet. So I mean, you're probably going to see those in some form or another.
Grumble 2, even more grumbly.
Grumble is a definite. There's more Grumble on the way, and probably a reprint of the older stuff. So we'll
very cool.
There is stuff happening. Just
Eddie is never far from my brain, unfortunately. Good God, that annoying freaking dog. It's the problem now all the time.
Yeah, the problem now is there's just a lot of projects at different stages and people accelerating in age that I can't remember things the way I used to. Also, I don't like to use planners or calendars, so I'm like terrible.
Those are for the week.
Those are for the week. I mean, if you're using one, then you're probably
doing
organized.
Like it's time for your theology. RAFER's over there about to pull out like a 3.
I was going to show you my
he's got 17 somewhere. He's got backup calendars. He's got
color coded.
Color coded.
So many little notebooks over there.
Oh jeez.
You need an odd couple like this.
You do.
Where can we find where can we find you on social media?
Yes,
I am Plastic Farm everywhere. Just one word, Plastic Farm.
Yeah.
PlasticFarm.com, at Plastic Farm on Twitter and Instagram. Easy.
IHateMike.com. That has links to most of the stuff. I was on Twitter at the Mike Norton, but I still have an account, but I no longer go there. And
I wonder why.
It has a link to my newsletter and my Instagram account there. So as long as Elon lets me have a link there, I guess. Who knows? I still have a blue check mark. I don't know why. I thought that was going away.
People do. They're highly.
It's a 420 joke. It's getting phased out because he's a professional business person who makes professional decisions.
Well, guys, the Rock Gods of Jackson, Tennessee is a very, very fun book. I really enjoyed reading it. I really enjoyed talking to you guys about it. And again, I just want to repeat, it goes on sale on June 6th. And if you like cool comics that are a little bit out of the ordinary, And even if you don't, you should check it out. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I deeply apologize for being late, for the technical issues on my side. It seems
great chatting with you guys again after so long.
Other way.
Yeah. I will not even be able to blame Chad on this one. This was all me. But we will be back in 2 weeks with the good, the bad, the naked Matt Kent. He's going to talk to us about. I don't know if he'll be naked or not. I don't know, man. I gotta bait the
yeah,
the
that's true. You can sell
The
tickets.
Chris beard real long.
They want to see if that hair is everywhere. Yeah, that's what they want.
Absolutely. But yes, we will be back with Matt Kent. It's going to be a good time. Our guests this time around have been RAFER Roberts and Mike Norton of the Rock Gods of Jackson, Tennessee. And on sale June 6th. Thank you, guys. And remember out there, if you are listening, the world can be a crappy place, but it doesn't have to be. Get out there, do random acts of kindness, support your local comic store, read something cool, and above all, just don't be a jerk. Thank you. I'm Matt. This is Chad, and we are the Comic Watchers, and this is our show.